Hi, everyone. It's Kim McGrath from Expressions of the Universe, and I have a little treat for you today. At least I think it's a treat. I don't know if you will, but let's see. So, everybody's been talking about Barbault's basket and the configurations that are happening right now as I'm recording this coming into alignment, super, super rare configuration of planets. And I'm going to show you what it is all about for each zodiac sign, what you can expect. Maybe, maybe not, because this is so rare. We've really never seen this before. And I'll explain to you where this came about. And I will also show you your charts for each rising sign. But I guess you could also look at your sun sign and your moon sign, or if you have stellium in these signs. And I'll also talk a little bit about if you have personal planets in these signs, how this may figure out in your life over the next few years. Let's get started. On the screen, it took a lot to get here right now in this moment, simply because, of course, I had to prepare all of this. And then I kept getting delayed with storms, bad thunderstorms coming through here. All right, so Barbault's basket and your chart. This is Andre Barbault, by the way. This is when he was younger. He recently passed away in 2019. He was 98 years old. So who was Andre Barbault and why is it so important? Of course, here's my disclaimer. You know I have to do this. I don't have a choice. I'm legally bound to that. All right, so this is Andre Barbault shortly before he passed away. He was born in 1921, passed away in October 2019 at the age of 98. He was a contemporary French astrologer. I'm just going to skim over that. So, why is he so important? Well, first of all, what I know of him and his books that I have, he was a mathematician, which you could see maybe a little bit depicted here in this chart. But he discovered cyclical occurrences of planetary combinations that when certain planets cycled into certain configurations, usually conjunctions, squares, maybe oppositions, usually conjunctions when two planets or more are coming together. He knew big things were happening. And then he looked back through time and history, as most astrologers do, and said, okay, this happened similarly back then. How and when is it going to show up here? And so, because of that, well, let me back up. So, he was also very into the psychology of astrology because of the archetypes and the interpretations, and he used a lot of Freudian symbolism. He made notable predictions such as the end of the Soviet communist era around 88, 89, the financial collapse in 2008, and a global pandemic like crisis in the 2021 era, based on these planetary compressions when planets come together and they are compressed together very closely conjunct. And he made these predictions, some of them like 50 years before they happened. He didn't know exactly how they would turn out, but he was pretty much spot on the money with his predictions. So, what is the Barbault basket? Well, here is a pretty good depiction. He didn't name it the Barbault basket. Astrologers gave it that name. He called it a bowl when he wrote about it in 2011 and then again in 2014. He called it a bowl. He didn't name it after himself, but it was something that he had never seen before. So in 2011, Andre Borg noticed that in July of 2026, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto would all come to an exact 4-degree position at the same time in July of 2026. The configuration, which he further wrote about in 2014, formed a bowl, a basket, or a cradle configuration. But it goes beyond a pretty picture with specific aspects to each other. His previous predictions based on compressions, when planets are tightly next to each other, or when major planets are conjunct each other, predicted major upsetting changes. This basket, he thought, was something different, a new beginning, possibly a renaissance. He famously viewed this geometric configuration of the outer planets as a foundation for a splendid relaunch of civilization and a Renaissance period for humanity. Specifically, he viewed this complex planetary pattern as the turn of the tide, the moment when the collective tide stops going out and starts to come back in. A shift to rebuilding, and a transition away from conflict, polarization, and pandemic into a phase of reorganization, spiritual maturity, and healing. A cycle of renewal, a convergence of several generational cycles involving Jupiter, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, and Saturn as well is included in this, and Chiron, the nodes, you'll see further on in my slides, acting together to incubate new societal paradigms and social consciousness. Andre Barbault interpreted the major outer planets in this mid-2020s alignment as interlocking gears of a global renaissance, with each planet driving a specific aspect of societal renewal in his framework of mundane astrology. Mundane astrology is astrology, but not looking at it as a person, but on a global scale. It's everyday astrology. Outer planets do not act in isolation. They combine forces to reshape collective human history. Pluto in Aquarius is the structural rebirth, reorganization of global power, deep systemic transformations, and the collapse of outdated social structures. Neptune in Aries is the spiritual awakening, a fresh surge of ideological energy, collective ideals, and a renewed spiritual or cultural crusade for humanity. Uranus in Gemini is the technological leap, rapid breakthroughs in communication, intellectual revolution, and new scientific paradigms. Jupiter's integration. Now, this says the economic catalyst. I beg to differ a little bit, but I think Jupiter will amplify everything else going on. It says it's the amplifier that expands these harmonious energies. Okay, I just said that. I forgot that I wrote this last night. Triggering economic recovery and international cooperation. Going to take a minute for that. And that's because we're in a really funky period. So we'll have to see how that Jupiter plays out as far as economic recovery, because I have a little bit of a different take on that. These are Barbault's predictions. So let's hope that he's right. His outlook is a little bit better than mine. So harmonious synthesis. Barbault emphasized that because these planets form fluid, harmonious aspects like sextiles and trines rather than stressful ones, squares and oppositions, their energies work together constructively. Instead of friction and destruction seen in the early 2020s, this basket or bowl configuration allows technological innovation, Uranus, and social idealism, Neptune, to be integrated smoothly into a newly reformed global structure, Pluto. The exact date for this, so July 15th, it started to come into formation through July 25th. The overall window where the alignment enters a highly concentrated phase. So 18th, today is the 18th. Today and tomorrow, the 19th, the 20th, 21st, like super concentrated energy. The broader timeline is 2025 through 2028. Andre Barbault's theories focused on the cyclic index, which tracks the total distance between the outer planets. The 2026 basket is a sharp, immediate flashpoint nested inside a much larger macro period. So in February of this year, February 20th of 2026, the structural prelude to the basket occurred when Saturn and Neptune formed an exact conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, which Aries is the 0 degrees Aries is the starting point for the whole zodiac. It's the first day of spring when the sun is at 0 degrees of Aries. So astrologers thought that that was going to be super important, especially because we haven't seen that in like 600 years, which Barbault considered the most significant political reshaping tool of the century, was that Saturn-Neptune coming together. So 2026 through 2028, the entire 3-year block marks the steady ascent of the cyclic index. In Barbault's framework, the index hits its absolute low point during the global contractions of 2020 through 2022. The current 2026 peak functions as the official turning of the tide, shifting the collective energy from systemic breakdown to long-term architectural rebuilding. The July 2026 peak acts as a direct resolution to the 2020 crisis by serving as the exact mathematical energetic inversion of those planetary forces that triggered the global pandemic and economic shutdowns. So in mundane astrology, the 2020 crisis was the absolute bottom of the destructive cycle, while the July 2026 is the rapid ascent to global renaissance. Barbault's core thesis was that extreme multiple crisis would be destroyed during this 2026 period, like starting right now. Multiple crisis would be destroyed, and that this configuration marks the beginning of this turning point. So here's a really beautiful picture that I borrowed from Spirit Daughter, I believe. I can't really see that, but it is in there. I did leave her markings on there, her watermarks. And so this is a really pretty picture of the basket with Pluto and Jupiter, Uranus, and Gemini making this cute little basket. I'm going to think on the next slide. No, I don't, but it's coming up. So Barbault's basket and your chart. Now we're going to explore how and where this will show up for each sign. There's the basket. And I do have in here Saturn, even though it's not part of the 4 degree, And you'll see in the other charts, I did add a couple of other planets because there is a lot of importance um, in the fact that there are some other things mixed in there. So there's the basket configuration. Before I get into the charts, I just wanted to talk about how Barbault didn't think that this was going to be an immediate, like, oh, everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows. Um, and there's a really good possibility that because of Pluto in Aquarius, that represents revolution. It represents a great divide amongst people. Could this be physical divide, like separation of us versus them or you versus me? Or is it just like a conscious awareness type of thing? Um, so the one thing I want to point out too is that all of these planets at 4 degrees, 4 in numerology symbolizes foundations, structures, and manifestations, and it governs the 4 directions, the 4 elements, the 4 seasons, and the 4 corners upon which civilizations are built. If this alignment truly represents the laying of a new foundation, then perhaps the most important question isn't whether a new civilization is emerging, it's what kind of civilization are we actually really building? Harmony doesn't always mean benevolence, so you have to keep that in mind. What astrology doesn't tell us is whether the forces cooperating with one another here are acting in service to humanity or simply becoming more effective at achieving their own objectives, which may not be in the service to the whole. And we don't know. And, even when Barbault started talking about this and writing about it, you couldn't fathom AI at that time. We're talking going back about 20 years nearly from now. And so it wasn't even in the ether. Cell phones were just really starting to get fancy, and the internet was just starting to get a little bit beefier, but like it still things were very basic back then. Um, so another important thing about what we should be thinking about, the outcome of this basket depends entirely upon the consciousness directing the cooperation of the harmony and working together. History reminds us of this all of the time. Previous periods in which Uranus and Neptune or maybe Pluto formed similar harmonious relationships, but not all concentrated at once, certainly produced remarkable innovation, but they also coincided with times when governments and industries and militaries and technologies became extraordinarily effective at advancing their own agendas. So the planets don't create those agendas, they amplify whatever is already moving through the collective. Does that make sense? So I don't really see this as profoundly positive or inherently negative, but it's profoundly amplifying. So whatever really is happening right now in the collective, regardless if it's for good or evil or inclusivity and harmony or separation and whatever, there's so much happening on this planet, it's being profoundly amplified, which naturally leads to a far more interesting question than simply asking whether this alignment is good news. You have to really think about this. There's definitely most likely going to be some sort of divide or separation that we will see. Pluto in moving into Aquarius definitely guarantee that. We can look back at the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius, and it brought on the American Revolution, the French Revolution, other revolutions all over the world were occurring during that time. And which meant that there were two different sides fighting for what they believed in was the right thing. Um, I don't believe that we're all moving towards the same future or that vision doesn't look the same for all of us. Humanity is increasingly separating in two different very experiences of reality. So one path moves towards greater sovereignty, creativity, local, community, reverence for nature, and a deeper connection to the soul. And there's going to be another faction that's going to move towards increasing technology dependence, artificial intelligence, digital identity, surveillance, the gradual surrender of our inner authority and sovereignty to external systems. We already see that happening a lot with a younger generation versus older generations. The separation is already underway. It has been. It also helps to explain it in a way that two people can witness the very same event and experience totally different realities to that event. They aren't simply holding different opinions, they're participating in different timelines and realities emerging from the same collective field. So I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. That two people can witness the very same event and experience entirely different realities. I think that also explains when I'm having discussions about astrology with people that are born within a very short window of each other, like same generational things, or maybe even on the same day, how are their experiences so different? It's kind of like that. Well, not everything is exact. Even twins don't have the same exact birth chart. There are slight nuances to those birth charts, making them individual people, but they're each experiencing things differently at the same time together. So from that perspective, the basket doesn't choose the timeline for us. It amplifies the one that we're already choosing through our consciousness and our values and the frequency which we embody each day. So important for all of us to remember. And it's so much more empowering knowing that this configuration here is not going to rule your life. Like, you are the co-creator of your existence. Just because these planets may be triggering things in your own chart, these are just opportunities that are showing up. You actually get to, take action on those opportunities. These are just windows that are opening, doors that are opening. You have to actually step through them. So one more time, this basket doesn't choose the timeline or the events for us. It amplifies what we're already choosing in our consciousness, our values, and the frequency we embody each day. A lot of people that come for chart readings think that what's going on in their chart is going to completely transform their life. And in some cases, there will be events that move through your chart that will change your life. But the way that you experience it and handle it is already part of your worldview and your consciousness and your values and like the way that you react to different events, whether they're good or bad. So how can we work with this energy? Rather than trying to predict exactly how these energies will unfold, it's better that we focus on becoming intentional about what we're choosing to amplify every single day. So when I talk about your charts and each zodiac sign, I want you to keep that in mind. The peak of this basket configuration falls between July 18th and July 22nd, with July 19th at its center. It all unfolds during Mercury retrograde, inviting us to slow down, reflect, and make sure we're building from a place of authenticity rather than reaction. Then, as we move towards the Aquarius full moon on July 29th, we enter the eclipse portal. The ground begins to shift, events accelerate, and the foundation we've been building starts to reveal itself. Also, the nodes, the north and south nodes, will be moving into new signs at that time, into Aquarius and Leo. So it's a huge, huge, profound month. So stay present, stay grounded, and stay discerning. Perhaps the greatest question in the sky is asking what's going to happen, isn't asking what's going to happen. Perhaps it's simply what are you choosing to build? If you've been dreaming of something, this is the week to go all in. I think that is a really good launching place for us to get into the charts. If I can figure out my dashboard. Right. Moving on. Okay. So the way that we're going to be looking at the charts that I have up are for each rising sign. And it has that rising sign on the horizon, on the rise, so that we can see where these planets, which houses, which sections of your life may be affected by this. And we're specifically only going to be looking at these particular planets. However, we do have to take into consideration that we may have personal planets, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, the nodes, whatever, or even asteroids, Chiron, Hygeia, the angles in different parts of the chart. So, because those planets represent your core personality and their energies are being dramatically amplified and accelerated and permanently restructured right now, this is kind of more or less a very basic overview, but because these are those large outer planets, they have a huge impact on smaller interpersonal planets. This alone is enough to try and digest. Know that this is the beginning of a several year change that will continue to ascend like long beyond that 2028. So, um, trying to I'm looking through my notes. I'm going to pause this real quick so I can just get everything in order before I continue talking. All right, I think I have it. You have to know that I came up with this whole entire thing and everything I wrote in the middle of the night last night because I couldn't sleep. And I kept thinking about it while I was trying to sleep. And I knew that if I went to sleep, I would lose everything that I needed to say or wanted to say. So now that I'm looking at it with an awake, clear mind, I'm like, wait, what did I put together here? Um, let's see how this goes. All right, so here we have, this is your basket. We've got Pluto at 4 degrees, Jupiter at 4 degrees, 4 degrees Aquarius, 4 degrees Leo, Neptune at 4 degrees of Aries. Saturn is here in Aries still. And I have it here because it plays a huge role. It was conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees Aries early in the year, February 20th, which kicked all of this off. And then last but not least, we have Uranus at 4 degrees of Gemini. Aries, rising signs, suns, moons. So we can take a look and see that we have Neptune, Saturn in Aries. And make sure that I am recording this. I put Chiron in these charts only because Chiron just entered Taurus for the first time in 50 years. So this is a brand new energy. And that's another thing I wanted to point out is that all of these planets recently changed signs, which is huge within itself because they are so slow moving. They take a very long time and stay in one sign for a long time. So for them to all change signs and then come together at 4 degrees at the same time, like right now, it's huge. It's rare. Okay. Uranus and Jupiter, and then the nodes. And I have the nodes here because they are getting ready to change signs into Aquarius and Leo. So Aries, the 2020 crisis forced you to fall in line and deal with rigid top-down structures. This July 2026 peak is giving you the cosmic green light to break away from the pack. You are being asked to step forward as an authentic, innovative leader in your community. For an Aries rising, the July 2026 peak of the basket strikes the most action-oriented visible angles of your chart because the alignment happens at 4 degrees of the fire and air signs. It forms highly favorable trines and sextiles directly to your ascendant, making you one of the primary beneficiaries of this cosmic reset. The heavy restrictive pressure you felt in your career and public life during 2020 Capricorn alignments is officially replaced by radical personal freedom and rapid social expansion. So these are the houses in which, you know, your life is going to be changing greatly. And I will talk about that. So the Jupiter-Pluto axis, Jupiter-Pluto in Leo, Jupiter is magnifying your house of creativity, romance, joy, and personal passion. Children also fall into that. Also, luck and risk fall into that. You're experiencing a massive surge of confidence. Projects you launch now get noticed, and your magnetic energy is at an all-time high. Pluto in Aquarius in the 11th house is completely transforming who you surround yourself with. You are purging superficial connections, and aligning with powerful forward-thinking networks, groups, and global movements. The effect is the opposition between these two forces means that your personal creative talents, fifth house, are suddenly being tapped by major organizations or communities, 11th house, to lead a collective effort. So then we move on to Uranus in Gemini, which is an intellectual explosion. Uranus is electrifying your house of communication, local networks, and mindset. Because that's the third. Your mind is moving at a lightning speed, and you may feel a sudden urge to learn a highly technical skill, launch a podcast, write a book, or completely change how you share your ideas. Because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto in your 11th house, an innovative, that's that beautiful blue line here, an innovative idea you share locally or online right now can instantly connect you to a powerful global audience. All right, then we're going to talk about Saturn and Neptune. In the first house, it's a rebirth of your identity. Having both Saturn and Neptune sitting right on your ascendant is a profound, once-in-a-lifetime experience. Neptune has been dissolving your old identity, making you visionary, but perhaps a bit ungrounded over the last year. A bit ungrounded over the last year. Saturn is now stepping in to give you that vision and give your vision some structure. You are manifesting a completely new version of yourself. You are no longer willing to compromise on your dreams, and you have the discipline to build them into a reality. Chiron, you will be experiencing wounds surrounding material issues and also values of like what you value, what your morals are, and what is important to you. And then the nodes will be moving into that Leo Aquarius axis that we talked about with Pluto and Jupiter. So that'll just be amplifying that, and that is where the eclipses are also occurring. As far as your personal planets, Aries. So if you have any personal planets, and I talked about it before, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, between 0 and 8 degrees of Aries, the manifestation of practical vision is upon you. With Saturn and Neptune conjoining on these exact degrees, your Aries planets are bridging the gap between high spiritual idealism and concrete reality. If you have Sun in Aries, you're being forced to mature rapidly. Your raw, impulsive Aries fire is being channeled into disciplined, long-term leadership roles. You have the stamina to build a legacy. If you have Moon in Aries, a balancing act between deep emotional sensitivity, Neptune, and rigid emotional boundaries, Saturn, you are grounding your instincts and becoming a rock of emotional strength for others. Mercury in Aries, your direct communication style gains profound depth and structure. You aren't just speaking off the cuff anymore. Your words are deliberate, visionary, and carefully engineered to build lasting structures. Venus in Aries is a sobering yet beautiful evolution of love. You are stripping away romantic illusions, Neptune, and committing only to relationships that have concrete, real-world longevity and spiritual alignment, Saturn. And then lastly, if you have Mars in Aries, which Mars is ruled by Aries and Scorpio as well, a profound shift in your physical drive. Your natural urge to sprint and conquer is replaced by the calculated endurance of a marathon runner. You are putting concrete, disciplined action behind your absolute highest ideals. Taurus. Taurus, you can see, sorry, I'm checking out the destruction the kittens are getting into. Taurus, here is your chart. And you can see right away that Chiron is sitting on your ascendant. This is for Taurus rising, but also if you are a Taurus sun or a moon, or you have stellium of planets, you want to pay attention because you will have Chiron sitting right on top of you for about the next 8 years. Chiron is the wounded healer, and Chiron is going to ask you specifically to heal wounds regarding material abundance or the lack thereof. Take a look at your values and your morals and really figure out what is truly important. You could be deeply wounded in those areas and therefore reemerge with a completely different set of values and morals, based on the atmosphere and the people around you. All right. So Taurus, your 2026 playbook here is the 2020 crisis forced you to question your long-term direction. The July 2026 peak is handing you the keys to professional sovereignty. You're being asked to step into a position of authority, 10th house, by monetizing your unique, innovative ideas, 2nd house, all while anchoring your heart in a joyful, expansive home base, 4th house. For Taurus rising, the July 2026 peak of this Barbault basket signals a massive structural shift in your outer world, specifically targeting your career, your public reputation, and your financial security. While the 2020 crisis likely disrupted your belief system, higher education or travel plans, heavy Capricorn energy in your 9th house, the 2026 alignment lands directly on the foundational pillars of your life. Because this alignment takes place in fire and air signs, it pushes your naturally steady, earthy energy to adapt quickly to rapid, exciting changes in your professional and private life. The Pluto-Jupiter axis is massive career transformation. The most intense dynamic part of this July peak impacts your professional trajectory and your inner emotional foundation. Pluto and Aquarius in the 10th house is sitting at the very top of your chart, completely dismantling and rebuilding your career, your status, your life direction. You are stepping into an immense personal power, authority, or stepping away entirely from corporate structures that no longer serve you to build your own empire. Now, I'm a Taurus rising. This is resonating with me. Jupiter in Leo in the 4th house. Now, this does personally give me some concern. But, excuse me. Simultaneously, Jupiter is bringing expansion, blessings, and emotional healing to your home, family, and living situation. You might be buying property, expanding your family, or finding immense joy in your private life. Now, I have my moon in Leo, and my progressed planets have my sun in Leo, and with this configuration, and also knowing that the nodes are going to the South Node will be moving into Leo, I am concerned, although typically This should indicate for me a huge expansion, but I am a medical astrologer and I often see these configurations as death. And the fourth house is considered the end of the matter. And so I have been looking at this for years and I've been concerned and I have expressed that to some professional astrologer colleagues that I collaborate with. And they're like, no, everything's going to be great. I'm nervous, to be honest. So I'm putting it out there. I may die over the next couple of years. And Leo rules the heart, so it would be a heart attack. So I'm just saying, hopefully not. If anything, I'm leaving this really great video for all of us to look at, for all of you to look at even long after I'm gone, hopefully. Okay. So the effect of this Pluto and Jupiter, the opposition between these two means your professional breakthrough, 10th house, is directly funding or triggering a massive upgrade to your home life, 4th house. You are learning how to balance global ambition with deeply rooted personal security. All right, so Uranus in the 2nd house, and it's at 4 degrees of Gemini, and my Mercury is at 4 degrees of Gemini. So you want to pay attention if you have planets between 0 and 8 degrees, because you will definitely be directly affected by this. All right, so this is a radical financial innovation. Uranus has finally left your first house of identity and moved into your house of earned income, personal values, and assets. Your traditional ideas about money are being revolutionized. You may suddenly discover entirely new, unconventional ways to generate income, likely tied to technology, communication, freelancing, or intellectual property. I would love to expand on this and do this full time, which fits in beautifully because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto. See, there's that beautiful trine. In your career sector, an innovative financial risk or technical skill you master right now can permanently elevate your professional status. Money comes in unexpected, fast-paced waves. Well, let's fucking hope so. I'm sorry. Sorry for the potty mouth. Saturn and Neptune in Aries in the 12th house, spiritual closure and behind the scenes preparation. Having Saturn and Neptune conjunct in your 12th house means a massive cycle of your life is quietly coming to an end. This is a deeply spiritual, psychological placement. Neptune is dissolving old subconscious fears and karmic baggage that have held you back for years. Saturn is helping you build immense psychological resilience and discipline behind closed doors. You are working on secret projects, healing old wounds, and preparing your psyche for when these planets eventually cross your ascendant into your first house in a few years. I have to say, it definitely resonates with me. All right, so personal planets in Taurus. If you have, let's do that. Here we go. Personal planets in Taurus. Did I not take notes on that? Okay, here we go. Personal planets. If you have Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, between 0 degrees and 8 degrees, these aspects will square Jupiter and Leo and Aquarius and Pluto. So that could be challenging, but it could be the fire under you. That Taurus, Tauruses can be a little slow and lazy sometimes, or just so stubborn that they don't want to move. This could be the boost that you actually need. And the impact, this hits your Taurus planets with a heavy T-square dynamic. Your natural desire for stability, routine, and comfort is being aggressively disrupted by the rapid transformation of Pluto and Jupiter. The cosmos is demanding that you break free from financial or emotional ruts. Sudden shifts force you to innovate how you make money or view your self-worth. I didn't list the planets. Okay. Oh, I guess that was if you have planets in, or if you have any of those planets in Taurus. Sorry. Like I said, I wrote this in the middle of the night. Maybe some of it is not as coherent as I want it to be. Gemini. Oh my God. I just remembered I wanted to pull cards. I'll have to put it at the end, and I'm going to timestamp this. So you'll be able to go. And I'm pulling cards from my little black bag. Oh my goodness. You know, sometimes I'm a hot mess. I try to have it all together, and I mean well, but it doesn't always translate. Okay, so Gemini, you've got Uranus right on your ascendant. That's huge, 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 huge. The 2020 crisis kept you mentally or financially trapped. The July 2026 peak is handing you a microphone and a global stage. You are being asked to use your upgraded, authentic voice, first and third houses, to share powerful, innovative philosophies, ninth house, that can organize and inspire your broader community, 11th house. For Gemini rising, the July 2026 peak of the Barbault basket is an incredibly empowering moment. Because the alignment takes place in fire and air, it harmonizes perfectly with your natural element. Uranus is sitting directly on your ascendant at 4 degrees of Gemini, making you the literal lightning rod for this global renaissance. The heavy restrictive pressure you felt in your financial eighth house during the 2020 Capricorn alignments is replaced by radical personal freedom, intellectual breakthroughs, and a massive expansion of your worldview. Uranus in Gemini in the first house is radical self reinvention. With Uranus sitting directly on your ascendant, you are undergoing a profound personal awakening. And this is an 8-year cycle. Like I said, these planets are very slow moving, with the exception of Jupiter and Saturn. All of the planets take years to move. Pluto, Neptune, 14 years. Uranus, 8 years. Saturn is 2.5 years. Jupiter is 12 months, 1 year. The nodes, 18 months. Chiron, roughly 7 to 8 years to move through a sign. So you see what I mean? Like, these are grinding in these positions. That's why I thought this is so important for me to create this video, because these are very long-term planetary configurations. All right, with Uranus sitting directly on your ascendant, you're undergoing a profound personal awakening. The energy, you feel a sudden urgent need for absolute freedom and authenticity. You may abruptly change your physical appearance, your personal brand, or how you present yourself to the world. The impact, your intuition is firing at lightning speed. You are shedding old versions of yourself instantly, stepping into the role of the ultimate innovator, communicator, and trend setter of this new era. The Jupiter-Pluto axis, which here we have third and ninth houses, is expanding your worldview and your influence. The core tension of this peak stretches your mind and broadens your reach across the houses of belief, travel, and community. Pluto and Aquarius in the ninth house is trining your ascendant. There's that beautiful trine from your house to higher education, publishing, philosophy, and long distance travel. Your core belief systems are being completely overhauled. You are gaining immense power through writing, teaching, broadcasting, and global networking. Woohoo! Jupiter in Leo in the third house is magnifying your house of communication, local community, and writing. Your voice carries incredible weight right now. Ideas you express flow effortlessly and attract enthusiastic support. The effect is the opposition between these houses means a local idea or media project you launch, third house, suddenly scales up into a massive, globally impactful philosophy or publication, ninth house. You are bridging the gap between local ideas and global execution. Saturn and Neptune in Aries in the 11th house is manifesting the new collective. Having Saturn and Neptune conjunct in your house of friendships, networks, and long-term hopes means your social circles are undergoing a massive evolution. Neptune is bringing deeply idealistic, spiritually aligned visionaries into your life. You are dreaming up big ways to change the world all the time. Saturn ensures these aren't just empty dreams. It gives you the organizational discipline to build concrete networks, humanitarian groups, or profitable businesses out of these collective visions. So, Gemini, do I have any other little side notes for the Geminis? Geminis, if you have personal planets between 0 and 8 degrees of Gemini, it's an electrical intellectual awakening. Because Uranus is sitting in these degrees, your Gemini planets are being struck by cosmic lightning, sparking sudden breakthroughs, restlessness, and radical modernizations. So you also want to keep your nervous system in check, Gemini, and keep yourself very grounded during this time because you could be going off the rails. And maybe that's why I'm having such a hard time sleeping, like staying awake. I take about an hour to 2 hour nap and I'm good to go. All right, next is Cancer rising sign. Are you? I just zoomed right past Cancer. Okay, so your 2026 playbook, Cancer, is the 2020 crisis forced you to compromise within your relationships just to survive. The July 2026 peak is giving you the tools to stand entirely on your own 2 feet. By mastering your inner world, 12th house, you're being pushed to claim your material and financial worth, second house, and the 8th house. So you can step into a position of lasting professional authority, 10th house. For Cancer rising, the July 2026 peak of the Barbault basket shifts the cosmic focus inward, triggering a profound period of financial liberation, psychological empowerment, and professional structural rebuilding. While the 2020 Capricorn alignments directly tested your relationships and committed partnerships, the 2026 alignment moves into hidden, highly strategic sectors of your chart. It asks you to step away from old emotional dependencies and claim your objective material power. All right, so the Jupiter-Pluto axis is wealth realignment and financial sovereignty. The core tension of this July peak hits your financial axis, bringing massive shifts to how you make and share money. Pluto in the 8th house of Aquarius is executing a deep structural transformation of your joint finances, investments, inheritances, and passive income. Old debts are being cleared, and you are stepping into a position of absolute power regarding shared resources. Jupiter in Leo in the 2nd house. Simultaneously, Jupiter is massively expanding your personal earned income, self-worth, and tangible assets. A sudden boost in your cash flow or a highly lucrative new income stream is likely presenting itself right now. The effect of this opposition between these two means that an increase in your personal earning power, 2nd house, allows you to settle major debts, make powerful long-term investments, or gain complete financial independence from outside entities, 8th house. All right, Uranus and Gemini in your 12th house is subconscious breakthrough and behind-the-scenes innovation. Uranus is electrifying your 12th house of the subconscious, isolation, hermetism, like being a hermit, and hidden dynamics. Your dream space, intuition, and your psychic sensitivity are firing at lightning speed. You may experience sudden flashes of insight that solve long-standing psychological blocks. Professionally, this is an incredible time for working on highly innovative projects entirely behind closed doors, because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto in your 8th house. A secret strategy, research project, or tech-driven idea you develop in private can yield massive financial return. All right, so Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your 10th house is the structural rebirth of your career. Having Saturn and Neptune conjunct at the absolute top of your chart is a major milestone for your public life and your career. Neptune has been infusing your professional life with the desire for higher purpose. You no longer want to work for just a paycheck. You want a career that aligns with your soul's calling. Saturn is now stepping in to give that dream structure, discipline, concrete form. You are being handed immense professional responsibility, a promotion, or a determination to build your own business. It's time to anchor your highest ideals into tangible, respected public role. Cancer. I know I had some notes on the side for you. All right, so Cancer, for Cancers, if you have your personal planets in Cancer between 0 and 8 degrees, the aspect squares this Aries Neptune, and the impact is your emotional Cancer planets are feeling the weight of Saturn-Neptune conjunction. This square creates intense emotional friction between your desire to retreat into your shell for safety and the urgent cosmic demand to pioneer a new path forward. You're being forced to grow up emotionally, establish boundaries, and turn your vulnerability into a structured shield. Leo. All right, Leo, you have Jupiter right on your ascendant. See what that means for you. Let's see what I wrote last night at 2:30 in the morning about this. All right. So, Leo, the 2020 crisis forced you to shrink your life down to mere survival, chores, and daily maintenance. The 2026 peak is handing you the crown back. By stepping unapologetically into your authentic personal power, first house, you're attracting dynamic new alliances, seventh house, and an innovative tribe, 11th house, to help you build a massive, globally minded vision for your future, ninth house. For Leo rising, the 2026 peak of the bar basket is an absolute main character moment. Because this alignment peaks with Jupiter sitting at 4 degrees Leo directly on your ascendant, you are the literal face of this global expansion. Not to mention, South Node will be entering Leo as well. For Leo rising, the July 2026 peak of, oh, I just said that. The heavy, exhausting pressure you felt in your sixth house of health, daily grind, and mundane labor during the 2020 Capricorn alignments is completely wiped away. It is replaced by a radical self confidence, powerful relationship restructuring, and a massive expansion of your social network. Jupiter in Leo in the first house is the ultimate personal renaissance. With Jupiter magnifying your ascendant right now, you are experiencing a massive surge of vitality, optimism, and personal charisma. The energy is your cosmic green light to expand in every direction. Opportunities, influential people, lucky breaks are naturally gravitating toward you. The impact, your confidence is at an all-time high. It is the perfect moment to launch personal projects, reinvent your physical style, or step boldly into the spotlight. The world is viewing you with immense favor. So the Pluto in Aquarius in the seventh house is radical relationship overhaul. The core tension of, oh, I almost knocked over my coffee, which is a lavender latte, by the way, from Tous les Jours Bakery, which Tous les Jours means every day. It's French. All right. So the core tension of this peak lands directly across your relationship axis as Pluto sits opposite Jupiter in your house of committed partnerships. Your closest relationships, both romantic and professional, are undergoing a profound structural evolution. You are changing codependent or draining dynamics and aligning with high power, forward thinking partners. The effect of this Jupiter Pluto opposition means your explosive personal growth, first house, is directly challenging and transforming all your partnerships in the seventh house. You are learning how to be fiercely independent while attracting partners who equal your power rather than dimming your light. Then Uranus in the 11th is electrifying your network. Uranus is lighting up your house of friendships, alliances, and long-term dreams. Your social circles are shifting at lightning speed. You're suddenly rubbing elbows with tech innovators, eccentric visionaries, and global change makers. Because, because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto, that beautiful trine, In your relationship house, a casual introduction with a large group or online network right now can instantly spark a powerful life-changing alliance or collaborative contract. Saturn and Neptune in the ninth house is a concrete paradigm shift. Having Saturn and Neptune conjunct in your fellow fire sign of Aries brings structure to your grandest visions, higher education, and international pursuits. Neptune has been dissolving old rigid dogmas and opening your mind to a profound spiritual or philosophical awakening. Saturn is now stepping into ground those insights. This is a moment you translate your abstract ideals into concrete reality. Whether that means publishing a major book, committing to a higher degree, or establishing a business that bridges international borders. And Leo, those that I have for you, for your personal planets. Okay, so the focal point of vitality and expression, because Jupiter is sitting exactly on these degrees in Leo, if you have any personal planets between 0 and 8, you have here, let me back up. If you have personal planets in Leo, like I have my moon in Leo, if you have your sun, Mercury, Mars, Venus, any personal planet you have here is receiving an immediate shot of adrenaline, luck, and expansion, which love that. It's vitality and expression. So go ahead and run with that. All right, moving on to Virgo. Go. Find you in my notes. Little virgins. Been so long since I've said that. I had to take a little mini break halfway through the zodiac. And we're starting off with Virgo, the little virgins. So as you can see, Virgo, big changes are ahead for you because the nodes are finally going to be lifting. I know a lot of Virgo risings. I know a lot of Gen Xers like myself that have a lot of concentrated planets in Virgo. So this will be a huge relief. The 2020 crisis for Virgos forced you to tightly control your immediate environment. July 2026 peak is asking you think much bigger by automating your life, by clearing out subconscious blocks in private, 12th house. You are being handed the keys to streamline your daily operations, 6th house. Ha ha ha. I find that funny, which directly triggers a massive sudden upgrade to your professional career and public title, 10th house. For Virgo rising, the July 2026 peak of the Barbault basket shifts the cosmic energy from playful, creative, or romantic blocks you managed during the 2020 Capricorn alignments of your 5th house into a profound phase of professional acceleration, lifestyle optimization, and deep psychological empowerment. Because this alignment happens in fire and air signs, it pushes you naturally analytical, grounded, earthy energy into a highly dynamic, fast-paced rhythm. It demands that you work smarter, master your health, and step into executive behind-the-scenes power. The Jupiter-Pluto axis, which is right here in your 6th and 12th, is daily mastery and spiritual freedom. The core tension of this peak hits your lifestyle and wellness axis, bringing massive shifts to how you manage your day-to-day life. Pluto in Aquarius in the 6th house is completely reforming your daily routines, health habits, and work environment. You're purging inefficient systems, toxic work dynamics, or physical habits that drain you. You're gaining immense personal power through discipline and biohacking. Jupiter in Leo in the 12th. Simultaneously, Jupiter is acting as a divine shield in your house of the subconscious, isolation and spiritual rest. You are experiencing massive inner healing, vivid dreams, and a profound sense of psychological perfection. The effect of this opposition between these two means your deep spiritual growth and time spent alone, 12th house, are directly fueling your physical vitality and efficiency at work, 6th house. You're learning that true productivity requires radical rest. Okay, so then Uranus and Gemini in your 10th house is radical career breakthroughs. Uranus is sitting at the very top of your chart, electrifying your house of career, public status, and professional reputation. Expect sudden, unexpected, and highly exciting shifts in your personal life. You might abruptly change industries, launch an innovative, tech-driven business, or get promoted into a highly unconventional leadership role. Because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto in your 6th house, that trine, a radical new way of doing your daily work or an innovative system you invent right now will instantly elevate your professional status and visibility on a global scale. Saturn and Neptune in the 8th house is financial reconstruction. Having Saturn and Neptune conjunct in your 8th house marks a major structural turning point for your shared finances, investments, inheritances, and deep psychological bonds. Neptune has been dissolving old emotional debts and complicated financial dependencies, asking you to trust a more universal flow of abundance. Saturn is now stepping in to give that flow concrete bones. This is a moment to build rock-solid long-term investment strategies, clear structural debts, or negotiate highly disciplined, lucrative business partnerships and contracts. Then let's see if I have any additional notes for Go. Why not? My goodness, Virgo. I don't. Did I forget the Virgos? My goodness. I was really looking forward. I could have swore that I did. I have 3 planets in Virgo, so really looking forward to that. Maybe that was all I needed to say, obviously, right? Okay, moving on to Libra. Libra, you don't have anything really being affected in your personal space, but it looks like your outer world, you do. So your 2026 playbook. says that the crisis forced you to retreat inward and manage heavy foundational or family burdens. The July 2026 peak is pushing you out into the world stage by fully embracing your authentic creative power, fifth house, and expanding your intellectual horizons, ninth house. You are attracting a powerful new tribe, 11th house, and building deeply supportive, mature partnerships, 7th house, that match your upgraded life direction. For Libra rising, the July 2026 peak of the Barbault basket is exceptionally harmonious and exhilarating moment because the alignment takes place in fire and air, and it forms smooth, supportive trines and sextiles directly to your ascendant. The heavy isolating pressure that you felt in your fourth house of home, family, and inner emotional roots during the 2020 Capricorn alignments is officially gone. It's replaced by an explosion of creative freedom, romantic opportunities, and intellectual breakthroughs, and a massive upgrade to your global social network. The Jupiter-Pluto axis is creative power and collective partnership. Collective leadership. The core tension of this peak stretches across the axis of self-expression and community, inviting you to step forward as a visionary leader. Pluto in Aquarius in the fifth is executing a deep structural transformation of your creativity, romance, joy, and personal passions. You are shedding superficial hobbies and stepping into an era of immense creative power. Any artistic project, business venture, or romantic bond formed now carries intense, life-changing depth. Jupiter in the 11th house simultaneously is bringing massive expansion, luck, and influential connections into your house of friendships, alliances, and long-term hope. Your popularity is soaring, and you are naturally gravitating towards high-status, inspiring groups. The effect of this opposition between these two means that your unique personal creations or romantic desires are suddenly being amplified by major networks or global communities. Your individual talents are exactly what the collective is looking for right now. Uranus and Gemini in the ninth is radical intellectual expansion. Uranus is electrifying your house of higher education, philosophy, broadcasting, and long-distance travel. Your mind is craving absolute freedom. You may experience a sudden flash of insight that completely overhauls your worldview, or you might abruptly decide to travel internationally, publish a book, master an innovative tech-driven field of study. Because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto in your fifth house, there's that lovely trine. A brilliant, unconventional idea or creative project you share with the world right now can instantly scale up, capturing a massive global audience or bringing unexpected international. Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your seventh house is structural rebirth of partnerships. Having Saturn and Neptune conjunct directly across the sky in your seventh house marks a profound historical turning point for your committed relationship and professional partnership. Neptune has been dissolving old codependent relationship habits and unrealistic expectations, asking you to seek deeply soul-aligned connections. Saturn is now stepping in to give those visions a solid foundation, and you're learning to set a to learning how to set firm boundaries, clear out draining connections, and build rock solid long-term commitments, either romantic or professional, based on mutual respect, realism, and shared goals. And then Libra. Any additional little notes for you? So Libras, if you have any personal planets between 0 and 8 degrees, they will be in perfect sync with the global renaissance. The energy feels natural, supportive, and brings easy breakthroughs. The impact of your Libra planets are the ultimate stabilizers of this basket. The opposition to Aries forces you to step out of people pleasing and set firm boundaries. And once you do, the trines from the Gemini and Aquarius to your Libra planets offer an effortless intellectual and social upgrade. Your relationships, creative collaborations, and diplomatic skills are highly sought after right now. And I know some Libras, you do have boundary issues sometimes. So good to hear that that's going to be changing. All right, Scorpio. I have to roll down to Scorpio. Scorpio risings. All right, so Scorpio rising. Or anything that stands out to me? No, not necessarily. You're not being hit directly. The 2020 crisis kept you mentally spinning in your local environment. The 2026 peak handing you immense systemic power by completely clearing out old emotional baggage and upgrading your living situation. Fourth house, you're feeling up the energetic capital, freeing up the energetic capital, feeling up. You're freeing up the energetic capital needed to claim a massive professional promotion or business launch. 10th house. All while unexpected financial windfalls, 8th house, fund your highly disciplined new lifestyle. 5th house. For a Scorpio rising, the 2026 peak of the Barbault basket strikes the most sensitive, powerful, and visible angles of your chart. Because your chart is ruled by Pluto, this peak is massive personal milestone for you. The heavy isolating pressure you felt in your 3rd house of mindset, local environment, and communication during the 2020 Capricorn alignments is officially over. It's replaced by radical career elevation, total rebirth of your home life, and a complete financial overhaul. The Jupiter-Pluto axis, right here, is professional sovereignty versus foundational rebirth. The core tension of this peak lands right across the vertical axis of your life, your houses of career and home. Jupiter and Leo in the 10th house is magnifying the absolute top of your chart. This is a spectacular time for your career, public status, and your reputation. You're experiencing a massive surge of visibility, professional favor, and leadership opportunities. The world sees you as an authority. Pluto and Aquarius in the 4th house, simultaneously, your chart polar, Pluto is executing a deep structural transformation at the very base of your chart. You're completely purging old family conditioning, emotional baggage, or transforming your actual physical living situation, moving, buying a home, remodeling. The effect of this Opposition between these two forces mean your explosive career growth and public success empaths are directly driving funding and requiring a massive, deep restructuring of your home, life, and your inner security. Fourth house. You're building a powerful new foundation to support your public empire. Now, Uranus and Gemini in the eighth house is radical financial liberation. Uranus is electrifying your house of joint finances, investments, passive income, and deep psychological transformations. Expect sudden, unexpected, and highly exciting shifts regarding money that comes from sources other than your daily paycheck. You might receive a sudden inheritance, a massive payout from an investment, or a form of an unconventional tech-driven business partnership. Because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto in your fourth house, a brilliant financial move or passive income stream you set up right now can permanently secure your household and family's future. Saturn, and I had to pause for a second because I'm like, my daughter is a Scorpio rising. I'm like, who's going to die with this Pluto in the fourth house and give her an inheritance? And I really hope it isn't me. I hope it's not her dad. Her dad's an Aquarian. So, like, these are the thoughts going through my head as I'm doing this presentation. I'm going to have to tell her to watch this. Anywho, Saturn and Neptune, apologies, Scorpio rising. Saturn and Neptune in Aries in the sixth house, mastering your physical vessel. Having Saturn and Neptune conjunct in your house of health, daily routines and habits, and mundane work marks a major turning point for your lifestyle. Neptune has been asking you to seek a higher spiritual purpose in your daily labor and body awareness, making you sensitive to stress, toxic environments, or poor nutrition. Saturn is now stepping in to give that sensitivity structure. This is the ultimate biohacking placement. You have the discipline right now to completely overhaul your diet, build a rigorous fitness routine, automate your daily workflow, and treat your body like a well-oiled machine. If I have any additional notes for the Scorpios. Scorpios. So if you have any planets between 0 and 8 degrees, the impact of this is your Scorpio planets are locked in a high stakes cosmic tug of war. Pluto is forcing a deep psychological ego death, while Jupiter in Leo demands that you step out of the shadow and be seen. Secretive tendencies or control issues will not work right now. You're being pushed to transform your intense private power into public vulnerability and leadership. All right. Sagittarius rising. All right. So your 2026 playbook, Sagittarius rising. You've got the nose right up on it, and they are changing sign. So that's good. There should be some relief coming in your home and work life. Sag risings. The 2020 crisis forced you to worry about basic material survival and scarcity. The July 2026 peak is giving you the cosmic green light to dream big again by upgrading your communication skills, third house, and embracing radical, unconventional partnerships, seventh house. You're being pushed to share your highest wisdom on a global stage, ninth house, all while anchoring your unique creative talents into a lucrative, structured reality, fifth house. For Sagittarius rising, the July 2026 peak of the Barbault basket is an incredibly liberating and empowering moment. Because this alignment happens at 4 degrees of the fire signs, it forms highly favorable trines and sextiles directly to your ascendant. The heavy restrictive financial pressure you felt during the 2020 Capricorn alignments in your second house of income is officially gone. It is replaced by an explosion of intellectual freedom, relationship breakthroughs, and global opportunities. The Jupiter-Pluto axis is about mind expansion and global influence. The core tension of this peak stretches across the axis of communication, belief, and travel, with your chart ruler Jupiter leading the charge. Jupiter in Leo in the 9th house is your ruling planet, is throwing open the doors of your house of higher education, publishing, international travel, and philosophy. You're experiencing a massive surge of optimism and luck. This is your moment to publish a book, travel the world, or master a profound new field of study. Pluto in the 3rd house is completely transforming your local network, your mindset, and your daily communication style. You're shedding superficial opinions and learning to speak, write, and think with immense authority and psychological depth. The effect of this opposition between these two forces means that a highly specialized, localized idea or writing project that you've been working on or maybe thinking about suddenly scales up into a massive, global, impactful philosophy or a media publication, 9th house. Okay, so Uranus and Gemini in your 7th house is radical relationship evolution. Uranus is sitting directly across the sky from your ascendant, electrifying your house of committed partnerships and one-on-one relationships. Expect sudden, exciting, and unconventional shifts in your closest bonds. If you're single, you may suddenly attract a highly innovative, eccentric, or tech-minded partner. If you are attached, your relationship needs to evolve to allow for absolute personal freedom. Because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto, there we go, there's that beautiful trine. In your communication sector, a sudden chance encounter or brilliant contract negotiation right now can instantly spark a powerful, life-changing alliance. The Saturn and Neptune in the 5th house is structure meets passion. Having Saturn and Neptune conjunct in your fellow fire sign of Aries brings a structural rebirth to your house of creativity, romance, joy, and self-expression. Neptune has been dissolving old rigid ways you express your heart, opening you up deeply, soul-aligned artistic visions or romantic ideals. Saturn is now stepping in to give those dreams some bones. This is the ultimate placement for turning a creative hobby into a legitimate business, committing deeply into a romantic partner, or bringing long-term artistic project into a tangible reality. And let's see if I have any little notes. All right, Sag, if you have any planets between 0 and 8 degrees of Sagittarius, those planets will trine this Leo and the Aries planets, and it will sextile the Gemini. The impact, your Sagittarius planets are wildly blessed by this alignment. It creates a grand fire trine with your sun, moon, or Mars here. Your natural optimism, desire for travel, and philosophical nature are completely amplified by Jupiter. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can just imagine. I know so many Sag risings and Sagittarians. Saturn gives your big ideas concrete structure, and Uranus sparks sudden lucrative opportunities to share your wisdom globally. Um, so also to note that the you do have planets in Sagittarius. They're perfectly enclosed in the basket, creating a highly communicative, fast-paced, and inspired flow of energy for your personality, which, like, oh, Lord help us, because, Sag risings with their personality are already a little loud sometimes. Okay, Capricorn. Coming down to the last couple. All right, Capricorn, you went through years, 20 years of really heavy planetary placements. And I know a lot of you are maybe feeling the relief now. You've been praying for that relief. I think it's coming. Um, but the Capricorn Risings, your 2026 playbook, says that the crisis of 2020, and that's 2020 till now, forced you to carry the weight of the world entirely on your own shoulders. The July 2026 peak is shifting the focus from enduring pressure to managing abundance. By automating your daily habits and working smarter, sixth house, you're clearing the energetic space to claim massive financial empowerment, second and eighth house, all while building a beautifully structured, peaceful home base, fourth house, that acts as your anchor. For the Capricorn risings, this 2026 peak of the Barbault basket marks a profound shift from personal survival to immense financial power, creative liberation, and deep lifestyle renewal. The grueling heavy pressure that you felt when Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto were sitting directly on your ascendant during the 2020 Capricorn alignments is officially over. That intense phase broke down your old identity. The 2026 alignment is designed to reward you for that endurance by anchoring your life into rock solid material emotional sovereignty. The Jupiter Pluto axis, AXIS, is wealth overhaul and financial empowerment. The core tension of this July peak strikes your financial axis, fundamentally transforming how you generate resources and claim your Pluto in Aquarius in the second house is executing a deep structural overhaul of your earned income, personal values, and material assets. You are completely shedding old scarcity mindset and learning how to monetize your skills with immense authority, building independent wealth. Jupiter in Leo in the eighth house simultaneously is bringing massive expansion, luck, and protection to your house of investments, passive income, shared resources, and windfalls, financial backing, lucrative business partnerships, or unexpected investment returns are highly favored now. The effect of this opposition between these two means that a sudden influx of shared wealth, passive income, or investment capital, eighth house, is directly funding and securing your personal independent financial freedom. Second house. Uranus and in Gemini in the sixth house is a radical workplace and health breakthrough. Uranus is electrifying your house of daily work, routines, health habits, and physical wellness. Expect sudden, innovative, and highly exciting shifts in your day to day life. You may abruptly automate your business, which switch to a highly flexible remote work schedule, or adopt a revolutionary tech driven wellness routine. Because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto in your financial house, right here, an innovative system or digital tool you implement into your daily workflow right now will instantly boost your personal income and earning efficiency. Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your fourth house is rebuilding the concrete foundation. Having your ruling planet Saturn conjunct Neptune at the absolute base of your chart marks a major milestone for your home, family, and your inner emotional roots. Neptune has been dissolving old family programming, ancestral baggage, or attachments to specific physical space, asking you to find peace within. Saturn is now stepping in to give you that emotional peace structure. This is a powerful signature for purchasing property, committing to a long-term home build, remodeling your current living space, or establishing firm, healthy boundaries with family. You are constructing a sanctuary that supports the new version of you. That's pretty nice. So Capricorn, additional notes. If you have any planets between 0 and 8 degrees of Capricorn, the aspects square these Aries planets. The impact after surviving, so the square is right here, the impact after surviving the brutal 2020 alignments, your Capricorn planets are now being squared by the new Aries conjunction. The rigid traditional top-down structures you relied on are no longer working. The basket demands absolute innovation. You're being pushed to abandon old, outdated definitions of success and align your ambitions with a higher, more idealistic purpose. Aquarius risings. This is pretty huge and transformational. Aquarius. So your 2026 playbook says that the 2020 crisis kept trapped in the background, dealing with behind the scenes endings. And this July 2026 peak is pulling you directly center stage. So, by unapologetically claiming your unique identity, first house, and letting your creative freak flag fly, fifth house, you are attracting expansive, loyal partners, seventh house, and building a powerful new platform to share your voice with the world, third house. For an Aquarius rising, the July 2026 peak of the Barbault basket is a monumental defining moment in your life because this alignment peaks with your modern ruler, Uranus, at 4 degrees Gemini, and your traditional ruler, Saturn, conjunct Neptune. You are one of the primary architects of this global renaissance. The heavy isolating pressure you felt in your 12th house of hidden burdens and mental exhaustion during the 2020 Capricorn alignments is officially gone. It's replaced by a total personal rebirth, radical creative liberation, and powerful relationship upgrades. So with having Pluto in Aquarius in the first house versus Jupiter in Leo in the seventh house, The ultimate axis of power. The core tension of this peak lands directly across your identity and your relationship axis, creating a dynamic dance between self-sovereignty and connection. Pluto in Aquarius in the first house is sitting directly on your ascendant, initiating a profound multi-year transformation of your physical body, personal brand, your identity. You are shedding all people-pleasing tendencies, stepping into immense personal power, and demanding that the world see you for who you are. Jupiter in Leo in the seventh house simultaneously is throwing open the doors to your house of committed partnerships, business alliances, and romance. You're attracting high status, generous, and deeply supportive people who want to help you expand. The effect of this opposition between these two forces means your radical self reinvention is directly magnetic, attracting powerful new alliances or elevating existing relationships into a true power coupling. You no longer have to shrink to fit in. Uranus, oh no, I went too far. Sorry about that. Uranus in Gemini in the fifth house is radical, creative, and romantic liberation. Your modern ruling planet, Uranus, is electrifying your house of creativity, joy, romance, and self-expression. Expect sudden, high, exciting, and unconventional breakthroughs in your personal life. You might abruptly launch a brilliant artistic project, monetize a unique hobby, or experience a whirlwind, unconventional romance that breaks all your old rules. Because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto on your ascendant right here, fully embracing your eccentricities and unique creative voice right now will instantly amplify your personal charisma and global visibility. Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your third house is rebuilding your voice and your mindset. Having your traditional ruler of Saturn conjunct Neptune in your third house marks a major structural turning point for how you think, communicate, and connect locally. Neptune has been dissolving old, rigid mental concepts and opening your mind to profound, highly intuitive or spiritual ways of learning and sharing information. Saturn is now stepping in to give those ideas concrete form. This is an ultimate placement for launching a highly disciplined writing project, starting a podcast, teaching a specialized skill, or building a rock solid innovative network within your local community or digital space. So much talking. Have to hydrate. See if I have any additional notes on Aquarius. With Pluto sitting directly in these areas, if you have personal planets between 0 and 8 degrees, they are undergoing a profound, permanent, and intense psychological upgrade. So, like the sun is a literal ego death and rebirth. Moon, intense emotional house cleaning. Oh, I keep doing that. My goodness, I'm so sorry. Because I have multiple screens here and I didn't move my mouse and I was trying to scroll down. I'm sorry. And I'm not going to blame it on Mercury retrograde. So yeah, huge psychological and emotional upgrades and innovations for the Aquarius. And then last but not least, Pisces, the little fishes. Pisces, you just had Neptune and Saturn sitting in your first house for a very long time, and you finally are getting that relief. You've also had the North Node sitting here for the last 18 months, and you will be getting the relief of that as well. So I feel like a lot of opening up for the Pisces in general. Your 2026 playbook says that the 2020 crisis forced you to worry about fitting in, changing group dynamics. And the July peak is asking you to pull back and master your immediate work by securing an innovative, free-spirited home base, fourth house, and clearing out subconscious baggage, 12th house. You are unleashing the physical vitality needed to excel in your daily work, sixth house, while building independent financial wealth, second. For a Pisces rising, the July 2026 peak of the Barbault basket marks a profound shift from the intense social reorganizations or friendship fractures that you managed during the 2020 Capricorn alignments of your 11th house. Now the cosmic energy moves into your most foundational, private, and lifestyle-oriented houses. Because this alignment takes place in fire and air, it injects dynamic, fast-paced rhythm into your naturally fluid water energy, demanding that you monetize your daily habits, secure your living space, and step into immense behind-the-scenes power. The Jupiter-Pluto axis is here in your 6th and 12th, and it is subconscious power and daily wealth. The core tension of this peak hits your lifestyle and psychological axis, forcing a total balance between inner mastery and physical productivity. Pluto in the 12th is initiating a massive structural purge of your subconscious mind, your hidden fears, and your karmic baggage, uncovering hidden psychological strengths, breaking old self-sabotaging loops, and gaining immense spiritual authority entirely behind closed doors. Jupiter in Leo in the 6th house, simultaneously, your traditional chart rule, Jupiter is bringing massive expansion, vitality, and lucky breaks to your house of daily work, routines, health, and habits. You might find the perfect job, hire helpful support, or experience a breakthrough in physical wellness. The effect of this, though, the opposition between the two means that the deep psychological healing and spiritual work you do in private is directly fueling your physical health, energy levels, and job performance in the 6th house. True work efficiency is flowing straight from your inner peace. All right, and then Uranus in Gemini in your 4th house is radical liberation in home and family. Uranus is sitting at the very base of your chart, electrifying your house of home, family, real estate, and inner emotional foundations. Expect sudden, unexpected, and highly exciting shifts in your domestic life. You might abruptly relocate to an unconventional new city. I hope not. Maybe buy a tech smart piece of property, transition to a permanent work from home setup, or completely redefined what family means to you. Because Uranus beautifully trines Pluto in your 12th, right here, a sudden change in your living situation right now will provide the absolute privacy, freedom, and emotional sanctuary your soul has been craving. Saturn and Neptune in Aries in your 2nd house is constructing financial sovereignty. I don't know why I couldn't say that word. Having your modern chart ruler, which is Neptune, conjunct Saturn in your second house marks a historic structural turning point for your money, your personal assets, and your self-worth. Neptune has spent years dissolving old, confusing ideas about material survival, asking you to trust your unique talents rather than standard corporate metrics. Saturn is now stepping in to give you that trust and that solid foundation. This is your moment to build highly disciplined new income streams, set firm financial boundaries, and monetize your spiritual or creative gifts into tangible, structured, and highly lucrative business. And let's see if I have any additional little notes for the Pisces. I say, oh, thought that I had this in a nice structure, but I'm sorry, Pisces. I don't see that I have any additional notes. Just double checking. Never know with my crazy. No, I don't have any additional notes, Pisces. That will end that portion of our presentation. I know this was long, but thank you if you stuck it out. Hopefully you will utilize the timestamps. But before we go, been on here so long, it went from night to day or day to night. Yeah, I've been on here for I think 3 hours. I'm thinking. So I'm going to pull an angel card for every sign. I meant to do it while I was doing everybody's chart, but I forgot. So I'm just going to timestamp the cards. I'll start with Aries. So Aries, for you, it's all about efficiency. And nobody's going to get a duplicate because I'm not putting it back into the bag. Everybody will get a unique card. Taurus, release is your keyword. Gemini, resilience. Cancers, abundance. Leos. Oh, I got to put my glasses back on. I thought maybe I could read it, but I can't. Leo's commitment. Virgo, compassion. Libra, play. I'm hearing why so serious. Scorpio, celebration. What happened to that card? I don't know. You know, these cards are really old. Celebration. Sagittarius, purpose. Capricorn, spontaneity. Aquarius, tenderness. And Pisces, harmony. So I hope you all enjoyed this. I really enjoyed putting this all together. I knew it was going to be a long video. I didn't realize it was going to be this long, but I really hope you thoroughly enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Happy Barbault's basket. I'm probably going to be taking the entire month of August off. I will announce that on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. I am taking a couple weeks vacation, and I think I just really need a little social media break. So, but hit me up. Let me know how you like this and what you think. And I'll come back fresh in September. And if, like I am taking bookings for September. So if you like this and you want to dive into this a little bit further, go to my booking calendar at expressionsoftheuniverse.com. And you can find it also at Facebook and Instagram and here on YouTube. You find the link to my booking calendar on my website. Until next time, hopefully it won't be that long. I'm feeling really good. I think these planetary energies have really caused a shift in me. I'm feeling inspired again. So until next time, I'll see you soon. Take care.